What is up? Okay, so you have a house that you own, you've lived in it, and you've rented it as well, and now you are going to sell it, and you're wondering whether or not you are going to be slapped with taxes. I am all for saving as much money on taxes as legally possible, so let's break it down. To be able to sell a house tax-free, you need to pass 3 really important tests, and one of them is the ownership test, where you have owned the house for 2 years or more. The other is a residency test. That means you have lived in the house for 2 of the last 5 years. And the third rule is a look back rule, meaning you haven't claimed a tax-free sale on a house within the last 2 years. If you pass those 3 tests, congrats, you get to sell your house completely tax-free. My name is Greg Acton. I'm a CPA, and my goal is to help as many people as possible to save money on taxes and to be better with their finances. So do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It will really help me out. All right, now let's break down some examples of when you rent a house out, whether or not you can sell that house completely tax-free. Now, I'm not going to hit every single situation, so if you do have a question, hit me up in the comment section. I would love to answer it. I go through and I answer every single comment that I get. So hit me up and I'm happy to answer it. All right, example number 1. Let's say you've owned a house for 10 years and you lived in it for 8 years, and then you moved, you went to a different house, but you kept your original house and rented it out for 2 years. Now you're looking to sell. In this situation, because you passed the 3 tests that I'd mentioned earlier, you've owned it for longer than 2 years, you lived in it for 2 of the last 5 years, and you haven't claimed an exemption on a house in the last 2 years, you can sell that property completely tax-free. Now, in this situation, say you had that house and you lived in it for 8 years, but then you ended up renting it for 3 years, you can still sell it tax-free because you've lived in it for 2 of the last 5 years. Once you go beyond that point and you've rented it for longer than 4 of the last 5 years, right? You cannot sell that house tax-free. The same would be true as if you owned a house, you lived in it, and then you leave for work. Say you're going on work trips and you Airbnb it while you are gone. You can still sell that house tax-free because it is your primary residence for 2 of the last 5 years. Now, if you're wondering what qualifies as a primary residence, just think of it as like, where is your home base? Where do you get your mail? Where are you registered to vote? What address is on your driver's license? Now, if all of those things are for that house, that is your primary residence. Example number 2, say you've owned a house for 6 years, but you've rented it out for the last 4 years. In this situation, you would not be able to sell that house tax-free because you have rented it out for 4 years. You have to pass that test of living in it for 2 of the last 5 years, and in this example, you would fail it. Now, you wouldn't be able to sell it tax-free under what's called Section 121, but you would be able to sell it and postpone any taxes by doing what's called a 1031 exchange. And a quick breakdown of a 1031 exchange, it pretty much means you're going to sell that property, take all of the proceeds, and go and invest in a different real estate investment. Now, this isn't a tax-free sale, it just postpones those taxes. So eventually, when you sell whichever asset it is at the end, then you would recognize all of that gain and you would be taxed on that gain. But it sure as heck beats paying taxes now, because any money that you can save now is money in your pocket, and plus you get to roll that investment into another one. These are just 2 examples, so if you have questions, please hit me up. I know there's some nuances with how people rent and how long they're there, so if you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. If you'd like to know anything else about selling your house tax-free, I've made multiple videos and I will put them right up here so that you can see them. Thank you and have a good day.